Hi. Official recaps here. Today, I'm going to explain a film from 2018 called Alpha. Before getting to the video, don't forget to subscribe and leave a like to support the channel. A hunter squad headed by Tao prepares to charge a herd of steppe bison 20,000 years ago in prehistoric Europe. The bison rush off a cliff as a result of the wall of spears they build, although 3 of them retreated, and 1 bull specifically chased Tao's son Keta. Tao slays the beast with his spear after it drags Keta to the precipice and violently strikes him with its horns. Keta then plunges into the abyss. All of this starts a week earlier, when the tribe's young members are put to the test on their ability to make spears. Keta and his pal Kappa are the only ones to pass, therefore they'll be dragged along to the final hunting trip before winter. They are also beaten by the other men to teach them that pain will travel with them as part of the ceremony that distinguishes them as adults now, and they are blessed by the local shaman around the campfire. Later, Keta overhears Tao and his mother Ro conversing as he pretends to be asleep. Tao feels that Keta needs to step up and demonstrate his worth to the tribe, however Ro does not think he is ready to go hunting because he leads with his heart rather than his spear. After saying farewell to their loved ones and receiving the shaman's blessing, the hunting group departs the following morning. Ro even gives Keta an extra piece of fur as a safety precaution. The group sets off on its journey by following the sacred path, which their forefathers had carved out of a series of rocks. The hand paintings on the rocks indicate the direction the group must go in order to reach the hunting site. They see another hunting team while traveling, and it is being headed by Shi, an old friend of Tao's who just recently lost his kid. The journey begins for both parties then. Keta strives to impress his father whenever he gets the chance, but he feels like a failure because he can't make a fire and can't bring himself to kill the boar the other men catch. They hear a commotion one night as they were eating by the fire, so they quickly take a defensive position. When nothing happens, they rapidly become relaxed, which is a mistake since a cave lion rushes out and grabs Kappa, taking him away to be eaten. The following morning, the men construct a cairn for Kappa's memorial service, which represents the spirit's passage to the afterlife. Only rest stops and hunting stops are made along the way. Tao seizes the opportunity to have Keta get a tattoo of the stars that are similar to him so that he will always know how to get home when they come across a huge and secure cave to sleep in one night. After a number of days, they eventually come across a trail of trash that leads to a herd of steppe bison and returns the narrative to its beginning. Keta tries to grab onto a jagged cliff edge as he falls, but he slips and lands on another ledge, breaking his leg and falling unconscious. Tao tries to descend out of desperation to save his son, but his fellow hunters stop him and tell him it's too late. Tao waits by the cliff's edge and sobs in denial as the men bring the sleds to transport the bison. Tao's group spends one final night camping before persuading their commander that it is time to move on now that their hunt has been divided equally and Zai's party has left on their own to return to their home. The next morning, as more tears of sorrow fall, Tao creates another cairn. Long after the gathering has dispersed, a vulture finds Keta and tries to eat him. This causes him to awaken, and after wringing the bird's neck to force it off of him, he understands the predicament he is in. Keta tries to climb down while dragging his broken leg behind him, but there aren't enough sharp edges for him to grip onto. As a result, he is forced to hang on for a protracted, agonizing period of time. Soon after, a storm approaches and starts flooding the ground beneath him. Keta then realizes what must be done and releases his hold, sinking into the water and becoming unconscious once more. The following morning, the flooding has subsided and the rain has ceased. Keta carefully makes his way back to the top of the cliff where he discovers the memorial his father left for him after sipping water from a spring and bandaging his hurt foot. But when Keta discovers he's been abandoned and must find his way home by himself, he throws it out in annoyance. Keta sets off on her own. He climbs trees to sleep at night safely away from predators and feeds himself bugs. He also fills his canteen with any food he can find. Keta runs to a tree once more when a pack of wolves spots him during the day, stabbing one of them as it grips his leg before climbing to safety. He remains on top of the tree until the other wolves get impatient and leave all but the one Keta hurt. He gets a spear ready to kill it, but he can't bring himself to use it, so he chooses to ignore it. But Keta is unable to do it either since the wolf's agonizing whimpering is too loud. Keta makes the decision to assist, and after securing the wolf's snout to prevent further bites, he takes it up and transports it to the water to treat its wound. Unfortunately, they are unable to rest there for very long since hyenas are close, so Keta must carry the wolf once more until they find safety in a cave. The wolf manages to free his snout the following morning while Keta treats his foot with a plant salve he made using a mortar he discovered among a collection of bones. Given how well behaved the animal is, Keta decides to offer it some of his water, which the wolf reluctantly accepts after much growling. Keta even goes so far as to share the worms he finds with the wolf in addition to washing the wound using the fur his mother gave him. However, he shoots a rabbit with a rock and eventually succeeds in lighting a fire to prepare it. Keta immediately pushes the wolf away when he attempts to take the rabbit from him, keeping in mind the leadership qualities his father has taught him. Keta needs to get home before it starts to snow since winter is coming and he doesn't think he can do it without his father yet, he must attempt. Keta leaves the cave and starts making his way back after gathering enough provisions and battling the wolf to get his fur back, feeling upset since the wolf won't stop following him despite his repeated commands for it to quit. Keta eventually gives up and welcomes the wolf as his new traveling companion. He even teaches it to approach when he whistles. Their initial joint hunts are a total failure, but after a few failed attempts, they eventually figure out how to coordinate their attacks and easily capture their target. Keta uses the constellation tattoo on his palm to double-check their path at night, and the wolf starts to sleep next to him after earning his trust. He even let him to touch it now. Keta decides to give the wolf the name Alpha after spending the afternoon swimming and fishing in the lake. Due to how lengthy their journey is going, winter eventually catches up with them and snow begins to fall. They are approached by a pack of wolves one evening as they are dining by the fire, and it turns out to be Alpha's family. Keta tells Alpha to accompany them since she understands what it's like to miss your loved ones, leaving him to continue his journey alone. As time goes on, snowstorms grow more frequent, making it impossible for Keta to make much progress every day, especially after having a depressing dream about Tao returning home and telling Ro the bad news. He eventually encounters Alpha and its pack after several days of traveling through yet another storm, but as he rushes to meet them, the ice breaks under his boots, and he plunges into the chilly water. Keta strikes the ice with his knife and manages to crack enough for Alpha to be able to yank him out as his mother's fur and the most of his stuff drift away. Later that night, when the two of them set out on their journey together once more, Keta dozed off while being hugged by Alpha in order to warm up his chilly body. They locate a trail of tracks that lead to a hut after traveling a few more miles, but unhappily, the owner has perished from exposure to the elements. Even though there is no food around, Keta decides to go hunting nevertheless, disregarding Alpha's concern when he starts to cough up blood. Later, the pair finds themselves in a difficult situation. Hyenas are chasing them, but there is also a very hazardous storm up there. They flee until they come across a cave to hide in. Unfortunately, there is a cave lion nearby who will not think twice about attacking them. While Keta attaches the arrow to his bow and concentrates to hit the proper target, Alpha fights it tenaciously. Even though Alpha still emerges from the battle severely wounded, he is able to slay the lion and save her. Keta realizes they must be getting close as they return to their very slow pace of movement in the snowstorm and come upon the sculpture that designates the sacred path. His optimism is increased when, one night, the northern lights emerge above them, indicating that his forefathers must be directing them. However, Alpha eventually succumbs to exhaustion since he is too weak to continue. Keta starts to carry the wolf in his arms out of compassion for his friend and disregard for the fact that the wolf is likewise frail and still coughing up blood. Due to the extreme circumstances, Keta finally falls apart as well. Then, though, he finds strength in a dream memory of a conversation he overheard his parents having the night before they departed. Tao had reassured Ro that Keta is more powerful than even he is aware of in order to ease her anxiety. Keta wakes up and picks up Alpha again, carrying it through the storm till they eventually make it back to his tribe, regaining strength from his father's faith in him. Everyone is in awe of what they are seeing, and Tao sobs as he tells his kid how pleased he is before bringing the wolf and him into a tent to be cared for. The shaman checks Alpha after feeding and bandaging Keta and soon realizes what the creature's issue is. Alpha is actually a female, and she is giving birth. The tribe accepts all of the puppies as members of the family after their safe and healthy births. Years later, when the puppies have fully grown into adult wolves, they are paired with hunters and taken on the next big hunt before the winter. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.